I have butterflies in my stomach. I'm so excited to meet him and let him know that he's not alone and that we're going to help him. And at the same time, I'm really anxious and feeling nervous. I mean, I'm hoping that we can save him.
We were contacted by a woman just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, who had discovered a bull who had his foot severed. This bull was in a cattle ranch. It's a man who did that for a living, bought animals from the stockyard, raised them and fattened them up, and then returned them to the stockyard to make more money.
That looks like it.
I had seen other herds of cows on that property come and go. It was heartbreaking to see him because I knew that his time was ticking. And so at that point I started pleading with the owner, you know, let me rehome that cow, let me find him a good home, let's get him better. But you know, you get a lot of no's and the pickings are kind of slim when it comes to where you're gonna put a 500-pound cow. So I was so thankful when the Gentle Barn called. So that was a happy day.
Yeah, it was amazing to meet the rancher.
Hey.
And I thought of him as someone that I could never relate to. And yet, God, he had such a kind face and kind eyes, and learning a little bit more about his background made me have a lot of compassion for him.
10.5 months ago, I went to the sale looking for some cattle to buy. I saw this particular cow with a hurt leg. And I thought maybe that when they loaded him on the trailer that they slammed the door on his leg, and of course it was hurting and it was swollen up, but that wasn't the case at all. It had gotten hay string wrapped around it very tightly and cut off all the circulation.
In the stockyard cattle ranching world, animals are looked at as products. So it's not a real surprise when you're moving very quickly like that there could be an injury or a bad situation that happens.
Y'all want to go out there where he is?
Yeah, I'm dying to meet him.
I've got some sweet beer. He'll come right up to me.
Where he was being kept, they didn't have money for surgery or a prosthetic foot or any kind of deep care like that. And so he was left to hobble around on a pasture for 10 months.
Come on. Come on, baby. That's a good boy. He's missing his entire foot.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I'm really glad we're here.
Yeah, look at him.
When he got up and walked on his foot, it broke my heart to see how much pain he was in and how innocent and sweet he is. I mean, he's just still a baby. He's only a year old.
He hobbled around on 3 legs, barely putting pressure on the leg with the foot that fell off. The ground was absolutely frozen with little spikes sticking up from the dirt. It was absolute torture for him.
I mean, he never put his foot down for 6 months maybe. If I know his hip is worn out.
I don't think the majority of people are aware of exactly what these cows go through on a daily basis.
Injuries in the cattle ranching business are very high. There's definite problem when it comes to how these animals are treated during this kind of transferring. The animals are terrified. It's dangerous for the people who are handling them.
At the Gentle Barn, it's very common here to see moms nursing their babies for 2 to 4 years. They stay together as big families, and they're very, very bonded. So when you take that and compare it to what Dudley went through, these cows, they're taken away from their moms at a very early age. And the roundup process when they're taken away is really horrific. I mean, if you picture a family of cows, mommies and babies, and then the ranchers go through and they separate the moms and the babies. And the moms are frantically screaming for the babies, and the babies are frantically screaming for their moms. And their cries are falling on deaf ears because they're surrounded by humans that don't see them as living, feeling beings or having any kind of empathy for them whatsoever. They see them as unintelligent animals that have no souls, if you will.
It's a sad process, knowing that every single animal, these amazing, beautiful animals that are in these places are there at their demise.
When we buy meat and dairy, we are paying someone to brutalize these animals on our behalf. The pain, the suffering will only end when we become aware and we no longer pay people to do it.
My dad learned from his dad. It was a generation thing, and it was the wrong way. And he passed it on to me. And by the time I was 18 years old, I was angry and expressed my anger and everything and wanted to be rough with it. And I had a wake-up call. I said, I'm doing everything wrong. My dad beat everything into submission because he could. It was like that with people. It was like that with anything he dealt with. And I said, I want to be better than that. And I had a lot of apologizing to do, and a lot of soul searching, and a lot of seeking people that were doing things right. After talking to you guys, I realized that I've done something good. I've kept the cow alive and kept him from going to slaughter, and it's going to help someone else down the road. It's going to give them hope. And if God hadn't sent you people to come along and help, I don't know where he would end up, because I've gone as far as I can go with him. He's healthy except for a bad foot.
This man's truck and trailer has driven probably hundreds of cows to auction in his lifetime. But on this day, that truck and trailer and that rancher drove Dudley 3 hours to a hospital to save his life.
Well, a cow has come to Rocky Top looking for a cure. We're going to explain how veterinarians at UT plan to get him stepping in the right direction.
Come on, baby.
It's very clear that he's in pain. He's having a very difficult time moving around. The tendon damage that he has on his good leg is starting to cause him a lot of problems. He's unable to shift weight to his injured leg. And so he actually is on the road to destruction right now. So we've got to get in and do something for him before he gets that far.
I was really worried about the care that Dudley was going to get. But the minute we met Dr. Anderson, my fears were completely absolved.
One of the things that we try to do to evaluate the animals for candidacy for prosthetic limb is assess their attitude and their behavior and how they interact with people and whatnot. And I can see by the way he's walking that he wants to use that leg. When he is able to set it down without pain, he will put weight on it. How low his injury is a really good thing. And so, everything I've seen so far, I'm optimistic that we can really do something for you.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So the next step would be to perform the amputation very delicately so that he has the best surface to be able to put pressure on without exacerbating his pain.
I remember they wheeling him off into the surgical room, and I remember feeling really anxious, like they just took my child and brought him into the surgery room. It's very risky putting cows under anesthesia. They're very sensitive, and it's really easy to lose them. God, we flew all the way to Tennessee. We rescued the cow from slaughter. We got him all the way to the University of Tennessee. There's thousands of people all over the world praying for him and in this with us. And wouldn't it be such a horrific tragedy if he didn't wake up from anesthesia? So that's kind of the things that were going through my mind.
The tissues that remained in the leg are not functional for a prosthesis. The type of bones that were left in there would be about like walking on rocks in your shoes. Without revising the limb, I think that it would be a relatively poor chance that he'd be able to be fitted into a prosthesis that would give him a good quality of life. The surgery today went really well. We were very happy with what we found. The condition of the tissues and our ability to sculpt the leg so that we would give him the best chance of having a prosthesis that would give him the best quality of life. Initial period now is that he's able to recover from anesthesia, get up and move around, and start to use the temporary prosthesis that we put on him.
Get down, Jay.
Well, when an animal comes out of anesthesia, they tend to be very groggy and they tend to be very unstable. So we have to put them into a position where they're not going to fall down and hurt themselves or get up too fast.
We're going to have to go through a lot of physical rehabilitation with him to try to build his muscle mass back up and his body mass back up.
Limping on that stump for 10 months has kind of compromised his spine and compromised the body as a whole. So now that they've addressed the actual leg through surgery, now they have to start addressing the entire body, getting it healthy and strong like a 1-year-old cow should be.
In the long term, the main things that we worry about are him getting ulcers and sores on his legs and secondary infections and things like that. And that's where the prostheticist becomes a critical member of the team, is that fitting the prosthesis to his leg such that it gives him the best support with the least likelihood of those complications occurring is going to be really critical.
Dudley's reaction is unpredictable. A lot of it's going to depend upon how much handling that Dudley has gotten hands-on. He could be happy, he could understand that we're trying to help him, or it could take a couple of weeks before he's ready to accept a foreign device being attached to his body.
Dudley.
There's a tremendous amount of responsibility and time in human hours that goes into putting a leg on and taking it off multiple times every day.
UT really isn't set up for long-term care. I mean, they're a hospital. While we were looking for a place, while we were preparing to take Dudley out of the hospital, we needed to find a solution. And as usual, Jay stepped up. So he left California, he came to Tennessee, and he came here to live in a hotel by himself and basically care for Dudley. So Jay was there at the hospital first thing in the morning, put his prosthesis on, was there 2 hours later to take it off, to monitor his leg, to make sure that there were no blisters or bruises. He was Dudley's champion. And I don't think that Dudley would have made it without Jay.
The fact that the Gentle Barn has got him and has so many volunteers that are willing to help is going to be a big plus. Used to be that if a leg went, you just destroyed the animal, and that's not the case now. I've worked on many animals that are still alive and happy today because they're wearing a brace or a leg.
You're listening to the Hubert Smith Radio Show on 90.3 The Rock. We're talking with Jay and Ellie and Cheyenne from the Gentle Barn. I will just ask them to please introduce themselves. Ellie.
Thank you so much for having us. We do two things. We rescue severely abused and neglected animals that nobody else wants and give them sanctuary for the rest of their lives. When the animals are ready, the animals help us heal people with the same stories of abuse and neglect. And we're happy to announce that we're opening a new Gentle Barn right here in Tennessee. And we're so excited to be here.
Able to get the 3 horses today, Worthy, Chris, and Indy. We drove for 6 hours, got them back, and got them into their stalls, and they were really happy.
I am so excited. I'm about to burst out of my skin right now because we're bringing Dudley home. We're bringing you home, Dudley. He's been cooped up in a hospital for 4 months, so he's really anxious to go outside and run.
We're going to be taking him back to the Gentle Barn, get him into his stall for the night, get him comfortable, and then in the morning we're hoping to take him out to some pasture.
For the last 4 months, he was in a stall, people coming and going, medical procedures. He couldn't run, he couldn't play, he was bored out of his mind. Animals enjoy the same things that we do. They enjoy fresh air and they enjoy running and playing and being alive. The beautiful, tall, sweet grasses he got to taste, and the purple and yellow and white flowers, the breeze on his face. He found life again.
I think when people realize that there's, it's not just a hamburger, it's an actual feeling, thinking, loving being. I mean, he's like a little baby. Dudley acts like a playful little child. I think we're starting slowly to erase the barriers. I know that's the goal for the Gentle Barn, to teach people.
No matter what challenge anyone is going through, if they can keep a positive attitude and a joyful spirit, they can get through anything. And that's what Dudley has demonstrated, and that's what he has to offer to so many people. Here's a guy that's been through so much in only a short year of life. He's not had kindness, he's been in pain, he's suffered. And yet, when you meet Dudley, the first thing you're hit with is the beautiful innocence about him. And his beautiful shining spirit is remarkable. And I think that that is the most inspiring thing about him. And I think that that's why he is going to help so many people in his lifetime, that they can be brave too, and that they can get through their stories as well.